Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a fascinating look at a powerful principle. On this first slide, we see that the truth is unpleasant, fantasy is sweet. It's a striking idea that sets the tone for what we'll explore. We're going to discuss how understanding this dynamic can help us communicate more effectively, especially when playing to people's fantasies. You'll also see a reference to Law 32, which ties into this concept. Over the next few slides, I'll guide you through how this works and how you can apply it. So, let's get started and uncover some intriguing insights together. The truth is often avoided because it can be ugly and unpleasant. We don't like to face difficult realities, and sometimes it's easier to ignore them. But here's the key point. Never appeal to truth and reality unless you're truly prepared for the anger and disillusionment that can come from revealing it. People often prefer comforting illusions over harsh truths. Life can be incredibly harsh, and in that environment, those who can create a sense of romance or conjure up fantasy become like oases in a desert. Everyone flocks to them because they provide relief from harsh realities. This connects to the overall theme of understanding human nature, how people are drawn to comfort, to beauty, even if it means avoiding the truth. Recognizing this law helps us navigate social dynamics more effectively. The oasis in the desert. Fantasy offers an escape. It promises that life can be magical, easy, and meaningful. By offering a fantasy, you gain immense power over those who wish to believe. Now, let's consider the appeal of this idea. People are naturally drawn to fantasies because they provide a refuge from reality. It's tempting to think that life can be effortless and perfect if we just believe hard enough. This is what makes fantasies so compelling. They give us a sense of control and hope. But of course, there's a flip side. This desire for escapism can be exploited, allowing someone to wield significant influence over others' beliefs. And that's a key point to keep in mind as we explore this further. Now, moving on to the next part, the sweet lie. Reality, as we often experience it, can be quite dull, boring, banal, and sometimes oppressive. Many people are desperate to escape from that monotony. Telling them only the truth can sometimes backfire, because the truth may highlight their limitations or hardships. It's easier to sell a comforting story than to confront difficult realities head-on. This tendency to prefer pleasant illusions over harsh realities is what makes the allure of fantasy so powerful. And that brings us to the final point on this slide, the harsh truth. Facing reality can be uncomfortable, even painful. It's often less appealing than the fantasy, but it's essential for genuine understanding and growth. Recognizing this tension between comfort and truth is critical to understanding human nature and our motivations. So, as we move forward, keep in mind how these concepts, fantasy, illusion, and truth, interact and influence the way we see the world. He didn't need to do much himself. The very idea of gold, the fantasy of infinite wealth without any effort, was enough to attract investors. They flocked to him, eager to be part of the magic, and showered him with real money just to be close to this seemingly miraculous process. In Venice, there was this mysterious alchemist named Il Bragadino. He claimed he could turn base metals into gold, which must have sounded incredible at the time. But here's the catch. Despite living quite luxuriously, he never actually produced any gold. This highlights how powerful the allure of gold and the promise of wealth can be, even when there's no real proof or scientific basis behind it. It ties into our overall theme, how the idea of wealth can sometimes be more captivating than its reality. The public didn't question it. They wanted it to be true. This highlights how powerful belief can be, especially when it aligns with our desires or expectations. The fantasy created around this idea was so compelling that it actually blinded people to logical reasoning. They preferred to believe in something extraordinary rather than confront the truth, no matter how unlikely it seemed. This is a perfect example of how emotions and imagination can outweigh skepticism. As a result, the newspaper's circulation skyrocketed, demonstrating that a beautiful lie often proves more profitable than a boring truth. In 1835, A newspaper even reported that a new telescope had discovered life on the moon, unicorns, Batmen, and crystal temples. It's a fascinating case of how sensational stories can capture the public's imagination and boost media success. This example ties into our overall theme of how perception and belief can shape reality, sometimes at the expense of truth. Let's talk about the keys to power when it comes to fantasy. Fantasies are inherently visual, so to really capture attention, use symbols, grand settings, and theatrical effects. These elements help bypass the rational mind and create a more emotional, visceral experience. Now, when it comes to the visual aspect, it's important to focus on promises of transformation rather than just improvement. People don't just want to get better, they want to be transformed, completely changed, whether it's going from poor to rich or sad to happy, often in an instant. That sense of rapid, total change is very compelling. Transformation is also about distance. If the source of your magic feels too close or too personal, it can seem human and flawed. So, keep that source vague and distant, almost like magic itself, something that feels bigger than us, more mysterious. This distance preserves the awe and wonder, making the fantasy feel more powerful. In essence, the combination of grand visuals, promises of instant transformation, and maintaining a sense of distance creates a compelling fantasy that resonates deeply. It's this magic that emotionally hooks your audience and makes your message memorable. Let's talk about the concept of reversal, or what I like to call the bursting bubble. Essentially, it means that as long as we keep the fantasy alive and moving, we can maintain the illusion. But the danger is, if that fantasy ever collapses, the public's perception can turn on a dime, shifting from adoration to outright rage. This is what I refer to as the con man effect, where the audience's love suddenly transforms into suspicion or hostility. Fantasies, by their very nature, are fragile bubbles. They look solid from the outside, but if you let people get too close or scrutinize them too closely, they start to see through the illusion. They begin to see the empty air inside the bubble, and once that happens, the illusion shatters. This highlights a critical danger of reality catching up. If the truth slips out or the fantasy collapses, the fallout can be swift and severe. It's a delicate balancing act, and understanding this vulnerability is key to managing or even creating powerful narratives without risking a catastrophic burst. It's all about keeping the illusion alive just long enough, but being prepared for the moment it might come crashing down. Now, let's take a moment to look at the sources behind the images we've discussed today. The first image, which features a surreal scene of a castle in the sky with shattered dreams, comes from neosurrealism.com. This site showcases artwork that challenges our perceptions and pushes creative boundaries. Next, we have an intriguing photograph from petapixel.com, a platform known for photography news and insights. It often highlights innovative techniques and visual storytelling, which ties into how visual elements can influence our understanding of reality. The third image from Wikipedia is a famous hoax related to the moon landing. It reminds us of the importance of critical thinking and verifying sources, especially when dealing with images that seem extraordinary. This ties back to our theme of perception versus reality. Finally, the last image, sourced from thought.com, depicts an alchemical symbol, an example of how imagery can carry multiple layers of meaning, blending science, mysticism, and art. Together, these sources emphasize the power of images, both real and manipulated, in shaping perceptions, convincing us of certain truths, or even misleading us. It's a reminder of the importance of always questioning what we see and understanding the context behind every visual.